Hi, welcome back to day 10 in the Light the World, Build the Kingdom challenge, where each day we're getting on our knees asking God, what is one thing we could do today to light the world and make the world a better place, to build God's kingdom on the earth. And anybody that's out there in the world or watching the news knows that we need more light in the world, right? Today I have a thought for you, and it's from James chapter 1. Where James talks about counting it all joy when you fall into different trials, and he talks about how it's gonna work patience and it's in faith, and that if you ask of God when you don't know what to do, ask, and He gives to all men liberally and upbraideth not. I've been talking a lot about this subject, if any of you have been following me before, but I talk about this concept of divine compensation. And you'll probably hear me beat it in the ground from now on for the rest of my life, because it's the biggest lesson that I've learned over the last year that is about counting it all joy. That concept. Within every set of circumstances that you find yourself in, you can look at those circumstances and see a problem or a challenge or something that's not right. You can interpret it negatively, or you can turn around and interpret it positively. We all have that choice. When we are given a set of circumstances, we can look at it as something bad or something good. And you hear about people who look at the world through rose-colored glasses, or we should be positive and think positive all the time. Well, I learned this concept from a book by Dr. John Demartini right after all of my problems of last year. Somebody recommended this book. It's called The Breakthrough Experience. And in it, he talks about this idea that instead of putting people or events or circumstances on pedestals where they can later fall from those pedestals, or putting anything down in a pit, yourself or someone else, you don't put anything in a pit or up on a pedestal. You look at things realistically. And you see that within everything is both. There's a positive and a negative inside of every circumstance. And it's almost like the negative you see is the price that makes the positive possible. And so for a while there, when I learned this concept, it was very powerful and helped me immensely, but it also made it hard for me to look at things without seeing both sides all the time. And actually, Dr. Demartini says to do that we need to look at life realistically instead of false positivity or trying to always be positive, even when things, there's downsides to it. You don't want to, those downsides are going to be there, and if you stick your head in the sand, it doesn't make them go away. So it's better to look at everything from both sides and see both angles of it. For example, there are certain things that happened in my life where in relationships that have ended that were dramatic and hard and felt almost cruel. On the other end of it, I could look at those same set of circumstances and see they were the most merciful, most amazing blessings that I could have ever received in the same moment. Had my second marriage not ended so abruptly and so swiftly and without me really having any say in it, I wouldn't have been able to move on and receive all the good stuff that God had to give me. So by looking at both, this is what I've come to, and I think I'm still learning on this, and I'm just sharing with you what insights I have gotten, is it's better to look at both and see that, okay, this is a little challenging over here, but boy, isn't it worth that little bit of challenge to get this blessing over here? And when I look back on my life and I see the blessings that have come out of those challenges, or that came in the very moment of those challenges, they're worth it. They're worth everything. When I look back at what I've been through, it was worth every bit of the tears, the heartbreak, the drama, just the confusion. All of it was worth every bit of it to get the knowledge and the understanding that I have today. And that is what God gives us, is that wisdom. Where James is talking about, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. Wisdom is the greatest gift, I believe, that God can give us. And when we look at our circumstances realistically, not through those rose-colored glasses and not through negative Debbie Downer lenses or whatever, but realistically, we can see that everything is serving us. Everything is working this we hate to use that word patience, and I always say never pray for patience, but it's a trust is really what I believe it is. That type of patience is a trust that God knows where He's taking you, and He's taking you somewhere better. He's taking you to a higher level of order, a higher level of awareness, and higher level of wisdom. And everything that's happening in your life is serving you. And I believe that is what James is saying. Whether it looks good or bad in the moment, or whether it looks like both in the moment, it's there to serve you. And when you get to that point where you see that, your level of trust in God just mushrooms. It's so much more. Now I know I've got lots more room to grow, but I have learned an immense amount over the last year just by these experiences I've been through and this piece of wisdom to look at my life differently. And so when I see something that's a little challenging, or an attribute in someone that just sort of irks me or whatever, I turn it around and look, yeah, but that attribute allows me to have this other attribute over here, which I highly prize and value. My husband talked about yesterday about our property. It's beautiful. It's, has all these nice wildflowers and things, but there's also chiggers everywhere, and we're getting eat up by chiggers. So we have to look and say, okay, what can we do about these chiggers? What else can we bring in? Do we need to bring chickens in? And chickens are going to bring in their own positive and negative. Everything has both aspects to it, but you start to look and say, is this good thing I want worth this investment over here? And a lot of things in life, definitely are worth whatever you need to go through to get them. And I think it's coming from that place of gratitude, counting it all joy. It's all joy. It's all coming to you for your good. So that's my thought for today. I hope you'll continue with us or start up with us new. You don't have to have started at the beginning of the challenge. Just pick up wherever you want and try it with us. Get down on your knees or just pray while you're driving in the car and ask God, what is one thing you can do today to make the world a better place? Because just as there's the evil in the world and the dark things and the hard things in the world, if we focus on those and that's all we see, we're putting the world in a pit, and the world doesn't belong in the pit either. It doesn't belong on a pedestal. It's not all perfect either. We all know that. But there is a lot of good. There's a lot of light. There's a lot of wonderful, good, honest, hardworking, loving people in this world. And you're one of them, So let your light shine. Don't save it for later. Let it shine now, today. You are part of the balance of this universe. You are part of the good, the light, the truth that God has to share with the world. And the more you can let that light shine, the more other people are going to see that it's not all bad. It's not all doom and gloom. There's good to be had in this world today. Y'all take care. God bless. Love ya.